Hi, I'm Maria Bailey, the CEO of BSM Media and the author of Marketing to Moms and Trillion Dollar Moms. And for 25 years, I've been helping brands connect with the mom consumer. So today, let's talk about mom influencers. And if you are just getting started in working with mom influencers and parent influencers in particular, I have created this video, which I'm calling the complete brand guide to working with parent influencers. So let's get started. First, let's talk about the landscape of parent influencers. There is a whole bunch of ways you could go with this. You can work with dad bloggers, mom bloggers, auntie bloggers are considered parent influencers. And you really have to drill down into who is the right parent influencer for your brand and the values that your brand represents. So let's get started and let's talk about the obvious ones, the mom influencers. So why would you want to go after mom influencers? Well, moms control 80% of all products that are purchased for their households. They spend $4.1 trillion a year. That's my statistic in the US economy. And they influence so many purchases by their mom friends. So what do you look for? Okay, I'm not going to go over the ones that everyone knows, looking at their engagement rate. Do not look at their followers, by the way. Followers don't really matter anymore because the most effective mom influencers that you can use are those influencers that really have 10,000 to 100,000 followers. And those are the moms that have an intimate relationship with their followers, who have good engagement, who are having real conversations. So save the budget on the million followers and just really home in on those moms that have authentic, very engaged followings online. But here's some of the things that a lot of people forget, and it's where my team at BSM Media finds the sweet spot when it comes to influencers. What's their involvement and their influence offline? Because just because a mom is in front of a camera or on her phone on Instagram with an influence, there could be a lot more influence that you can find with her offline as well. So for instance, we know which of our moms have television segments or head up a Girl Scout troop or is in charge of the soccer league in her hometown. Those are all avenues that she can carry your message to other moms. And, let's just say you're a sports drink, right? If she also is a mom whose kid is in a soccer league, you want that mom, right? Because if you introduce the product to her, now she's taking it with her and she's telling 5 other moms in the bleachers, hey, this is a great product. Okay, so definitely look at what their offline activities are as well. Pinterest. Is she involved? Is she engaged on Pinterest? Because a lot of brands forget about Pinterest, and the algorithms on Pinterest work really well for you as a brand. So let me give you an example. I'll give you an example. We work with a baby product company, okay? So if we're working with a mom influencer, we will have her, of course, post on her Instagram or her TikTok or whatever, but then we'll ask her, hey, will you also put that content on Pinterest? Now, why would we do that? Because when moms are looking for the best gifts to register for, or the best baby shower gift, or the must-have registry list, guess where they go? They go to Pinterest. And a lot of brands forget about that. So that same piece of content that you have paid for on Instagram or TikTok can also be placed on Pinterest, and it gives you extended reach. The good thing is that they can add a link that goes to Amazon so that you can get the sale from that content on Pinterest. It also, another example, we work with a food company that lends itself to birthday parties. Well, where does a mom go to plan her birthday parties? On Pinterest. So look at their engagement on Pinterest. Read the comments before you select a mom to work with online. Read the comments of her in her post, right? Are the moms that are leaving comments in her post really leaving good comments, or are they just leaving like, yay, great, one word? Because if you read the comments, you will see the type of followers that your message will land on. So read the comments that she is getting to her current post to decide if that's really the community that you want to be talking with. And then also, is she active on Reddit? Because Reddit is where moms go to read the real stuff. So you can sometimes find out if she's active on Reddit by going and searching her handle on Reddit. And then finally, is her content optimized? So is she optimizing for AEO, GEO, and AI search? And that's important because recently all Instagram and YouTube videos are being pulled by AI. And so that means that you're going to have a greater reach if you work with that mom who is optimized and maybe is being pulled into AI search. It means your content that you've paid for is going to show up in more places. And then finally, make sure you're working with the right segment of moms. So if you have a prenatal product, then you probably want an expectant or new mom to work with. You don't want a mom that only has teenagers or school-age children. Make sure that you're looking at the age of her children to make sure that she falls within your consumer segment. So let's talk about dad influencers for a minute. How do you work with dad influencers? Well, you find some really good ones on TikTok. And humor is normally where you're going to engage with the dad influencer. A lot of clients ask me, well, what about the dad? Honestly, the dads have less of an influence when it comes to product, but if you want to reinforce your brand and your brand values, I would suggest you find dad influencers on TikTok. That's really the best place to work with them. So let's talk about millennial parent influencers. Millennial parents were born between 1981 and 1996. They represent a minimalist kind of parenting. And now their children are a little bit older, so you're going to find that if you're going to find fewer millennials in the newborn category, but the younger millennials still are having children. So if you are a company that has a baby product, then you probably likely want to look at the youngest millennials, the oldest Gen Z population for that. But, millennials are very sophisticated. They're very minimalist. On Instagram, you see them with the monotone posts. For the millennial influencers and millennial parents, you really want your content to focus on experiences, purposeful parenting, time crunch solutions, those kind of topics. A lot of meal planning is a good topic for a millennial parent. And then, of course, ways to save money. Then let's just talk really briefly about the Gen Z parent influencer. Now, this is an interesting generation because they are just coming into parenting. I think the oldest Gen Z parent is about 33 right now, so their impact is just now showing. They are a different breed, okay? Their parenting style is very intentional, very curated. They control the narrative of what parenthood is to them. So they look for brands that share their values. So you want to make sure that if you're using a Gen Z mom influencer or a Gen Z parent influencer, that you are making sure that your values are aligned with that particular influencer. You will maximize your budget and your results if you align with their values. So that's a little bit about parent influencers and how to choose them. And what I would encourage you to do is leave me a question, or you might go to my blog at bsmmedia.com, where you will find a lot more information on particularly the Gen Z and the millennial influencers and the mom influencers. And if you have any questions, please email me, maria@bsmmedia.com.